So today I'm here to talk about someone I've been meaning to talk about for a while. I just really haven't gotten around to it. Mag. So with Mag being a starter frame and all, you would think she's like a decent frame, not the best but not the worst, and you would think she's really easy to build, but if you thought that, you would be completely wrong. She's actually quite the opposite. She's one of the highest DPS, if not the highest DPS frame in the game. But with being one of the highest DPS frames in the game, she also lacks in terms of survivability. Kind of like Saren in that way, where she has insane DPS but can't survive getting hit by a paper plate. So yeah, I wouldn't say most of the mods, but a lot of the mods in the build is going to revolve around her surviving. But trust me, it's still going to be good. You're still going to be probably one of the best builds you've seen for Mag. I've seen a lot of different builds for Mag, and none of them compare to this one. I might just be self-glazing my build, but I'm being completely honest with you. And there's a lot of things that you can use to synergize with Mag. Like, I have two weapons that synergize wonderfully with Mag. So first off, the Latron, right? So I don't know if any of y'all use the Latron and Karnan, but when I use it, I do have one like slight problem with it. You know, I need to aim, right? And who likes aiming, right? So you know, all you gotta do with Mag is throw down the bubble and shoot in their general direction, and then everything dies. You know, problem solved. So I'm literally saying everything dies. You shoot one shot of the Latron into that bubble, and that's like 50 enemies gone. So perfect synergy. And again with her, and another thing about Mag is she runs out of energy really fast, because you're kind of just spamming all of her abilities. One, to stay alive, and two, to keep up DPS. So you're losing energy really fast, and you're probably not gonna have too much energy. So what I do is I use the Grimoire. I'll show you the Grimoire build right now, but I use the Grimoire, and I use that exact tome mod that you see on the build. None of the rest of the build doesn't really matter, because we're not using it for damage. We're using it for that tome mod. So every time I use the alt fire, it gives me energy back. So we don't have to like depend on using like nourish something. We can go for more DPS for the helmet ability. So we already have our energy supply just by using the Grimoire, and we don't have to put it into the build, which is essentially ruining the build. And since she's a starter frame, I'm gonna give you both a starter build and endgame builds for my new players. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to exclude all of y'all. I want everyone to have a good build. So yeah, I do have a Latron build, because I did talk about synergizing with the Latron. I do have a Latron build guide. You can just look at my channel, you'll find it. I'm probably gonna make a new one, because you know there's always room for improvement on everything you do. So except this build. This build's perfect. Self-glaze again, but I will probably end up making a new Latron build, so stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, you know what I'm saying? And let's just get into Mag's abilities. So starting off with our first ability, pull. Just like your ability to pull women, this shit is ass. But no, it's pretty much just in the name. You kind of just pull enemies towards you, but it's really not useful in the slightest. Her second ability, Magnetize, has two options, but you only really use one. If you tap Magnetize, you'll create a bubble around this enemy, and all the bullets you shoot inside said bubble will magnetize towards the enemies, multiplying the damage by a shit ton. And this is where all the DPS for Mag really comes into play. You're going to be doing a shit ton of damage with this. And then there's a hold option where you hold it and you have like a little small mag bubble around you, and you absorb all the enemy bullets, and when you let it go, it just throws it all back at other people. But no one really uses this. This is just kind of in the game because someone accidentally put into a trailer and they realized they had to now put into the game because it wouldn't make any sense. Moving on to her third ability, Polarize. So Polarize, you make this like magnetic pulse sort of, and it won't fully deplete, but it'll deplete enemy armor and shield, but it will fully regen yours and your allies' health. So this is going to be your main survivability tool when you're going into the game. You're going to be spamming this pretty much all the time. And on top of that, when you hit an enemy with polarize, they'll drop these little shards, which synergizes really well with her little mag bubble, because the shards will go inside the mag bubble and make it do extra damage. But it's not something you actively have to worry about because it's just really well synergized, so it's going to happen pretty much regardless. So it's just a cool little feature. And her final ability, Crush, if you're not using her augment, this ability is pretty ass. I'm not going to lie to you. Kind of just lift them up and slam them down, and it does pretty minimal damage. But if you're using the augment, it is really, really good, because on top of doing that, you're armor stripping them, and on top of armor stripping them, you leave them unable to move for like 7 seconds. So it goes from being really shit to really good just with the augment. So you're gonna see the build in a second, but yeah, just keep that in mind. Before we get into the builds, I do want to show you one more thing, because on the endgame version of the builds, I am using equilibrium. So there's a reason I'm using equilibrium, and I'm going to show you right now. So when you're running Panzer, which is what I'm running, or really any companion in general, and you put on the mod Synth Deconstruct. So what Synth Deconstruct does is whenever your companion hits an enemy, they have a chance to drop a health orb. So those health orbs using equilibrium will turn those health orbs into more energy. So not only are you just using your grimoire to give you energy, the equilibrium also helps, so you're not going to be running out at all anytime soon. Now, do the other mods on the Panzer Volpophyla don't really matter in Mag's concerning Mag, but they are all still good, and I'll probably make a separate video on that in general, because there's a lot of new things, a lot of new mods surrounding companions and all that I am yet to cover. So I'll probably do that at a later date, but really all you need for this is Synth Deconstruct. It's all that really matters for Mag's case. Now getting into the builds, I'm going to start off with the starter noob build. So with the noob build, I've been playing this game for 7-8 years, right? So I don't really understand what people classify as noob mods, so I kind of just put mods in that I know everybody has. So with like Dreamer's Bond, everyone got it for free, and it gives you energy regen, so that's good. And then the only thing probably wouldn't have is Fracture and Crush, the augment, but you just get it from a syndicate, so just pick the right syndicate, you know what I'm saying? Or just ask a friend to give it to you. It's not that hard to get. But everything else, everyone should have. It's a starter build, so it's not the best build, but it's something that, you know, and you can put together, and it's not going to be a bad build at all. And the reason I didn't use every mod slot and like completely fill the capacity of the build is because most noobs, most starters in the game don't have a formula in their build, so I was trying to make it, you know, a bit fair. And same thing with the arcanes. Most people that just started the game don't have arcanes, so I was just trying to make it a bit more fair to the new players and make it something they can actually build and use. If you're gonna fill the other mods, you can kind of fill it with pretty much anything. There's nothing else you would really need on the build other than what I already have on there. So anything else that you think you could put on that would help, go for it, bro. Now for the endgame build, you kind of want to build for something kind of all around, but you really want to prioritize your strength so your bubble can do as much damage as possible. So we have equilibrium there for more energy, adaptation, so your shield doesn't get completely fucking obliterated before you realize you have to repop your 3. Arcane Energize for the more energy, because it's, you know, just something better. Molt augmented, so we have an increase of 80% more strength on top of what we already have once you get the 250 kills, that is. And we also have Fracture and Crush, the augment, so your 4 is a dog shit ability, and it'll give you free armor strips pretty much, and all enemies will be unable to move for the next 7 seconds, which is great. And as to how to use Mag, contrary to popular belief, she's not that easy to play, because again, she kind of dies really easily. So you gotta like kind of manage and keep paying attention at your shield so you know when to pop your 3, and like just keep that in check. Also, I forgot to mention the helmet ability you would want to use is Will-O-Wisp. That's the one I use. It just ups your DPS, so you might as well go for it. And so yeah, you pop your 3 every time. You kind of gotta manage things, and then you want to keep your bubbles up at all times. Kind of like get choke points down, like I have right here. I got 2 choke points, so if they're walking towards me, they're walking into the bubbles, so there's no way to actually get to me and shoot me. And if they do, I'll just pop my 3 and get my shields back. You kind of want to just keep popping and spamming all your abilities. Make sure you armor up with your 4, regen shields with 3, keep your DPS up with 2, and end it with your 1, because I'm using Will-O-Wisp, so you kind of want to keep up your DPS with your 2 and your 1 at the same time. But other than that, that's all I really got to say about Magman. One of the funnest and best in the game if you actually know how to use and play it properly. But if you made it this far, you made it to the end of the video, and I appreciate you for watching the whole thing through. If you did and didn't fucking skip to the end to get the build. So if you did do that, I'm gonna need you to go back and watch it fully, because you missed out on a lot of shit. Literally a lot of shit, because the entire video is needed to understand Mag. But yeah, that's pretty much all I really gotta say on Mag. If you have any suggestions or anything like that, let me know down in the comments or DM me on Instagram. And shit, I'll see you on the next video. Deuces.